Because when I was drinking, I was able to forget, and
Do you think maybe drinking saved your life at any point in time?
there was many times, like, if I wasn't drunk, I know I would have probably killed myself, like, without a doubt, because I just couldn't quit crying when I was sober.
This is Hard Knox Talks.
Nolan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
You had a long drive this morning. You're from Kamsack.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, hailing from Key First Nations. That's next door to Keescoos and Cody's.
That's right.
Yeah, right on, man. So you're a father. You're a person in recovery.
Yeah.
And I think after you saw Nova Fox's episode, you reached out to me, and we sort of went back and forth, and here we are today.
Yeah, shout out to Nova.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
she
love
had,
her.
She had some powerful things to say, man. It
Oh,
really,
man.
like, it slapped hard. Like, some of the things she said, I didn't see coming.
Well, no, because, like, she doesn't look like she's lived that vast in that type of life, but she's all the way.
Yeah.
Now she's all the way out.
Yeah. Well, you and her run the streets together.
Well, we did run around in the streets together, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when Nova got really bad, I was just getting out. I was just clawing my way out. I was still dabbling in hard drugs, and I wasn't selling or anything anymore. I wasn't running around with the gangsters anymore. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I was just kind of just doing the drugs and trying to stay free of trouble.
Yeah. Well, why don't we take a step back? Unless there's something that you want to say before we dive into it.
No, I'm just thankful to be here, Daniel. Thank you.
Right on. Well, take us back, man. How did this all get started for you? Did you grow up around it?
Yeah, actually, I was raised around, like, nothing but, like, street people. Like, like, my earliest memories, like 3 or 4 years old, when my parents were divorced. It was awful, because for the first 3 years of my life, I'm sure I was, like, the center of attention for my parents, but then they got divorced when I was 3, and then it just went bad. And I remember it was so lonely. I remember being depressed early as 3 years old, and 4, 5, and 6, and wondering why my parents weren't together, what was wrong, and being left at different places, like grandparents, aunties, uncles, just like, where's my mom, where's my dad, and crying myself all night to sleep, because I probably just wasn't used to being away from my parents. But it was such a tremendous heartache for myself. It was awful. Like, I remember I used to lay my parents' clothes out on the bed beside me.
Really?
Yeah, I just used to lay them out there just to like just imagine they were there sleeping with me so I could sleep. But
So maybe it's too young for you to remember, but was life before they split? Was life good? Was it safe?
yeah, well, it was, from what I hear, but, like, I hardly remember. I just remember the divorce. I remember when things went bad, but like my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, they all talk about, like, oh, your life would have been so different had they stayed together, because they were so, it just did something to both of them that they divorced each other. See, my father, he was like just a terrible womanizer. Like, he just had these bad habits. Like, he was telling my mom, oh, I'm going hunting, and my mom's, like, pregnant with my little sister, and he was going out and running around with another woman.
He was hunting, all right.
That's for sure. Yeah. And then I got my little sister and my little brother 6 months apart because of it. So, it was really bad.
So what did that look like going forward then, from like 6, 7, 8, 9? Like, what did life look like?
Oh, I bounced around. Like, I went from mom to dad to grandparents, like that, in a cycle.
Was there, like, partying and stuff? Was there a reason you were bouncing around?
Oh, like mom just couldn't keep herself together. Like, the divorce just broke her so bad. Like, she just couldn't. All she talked about, like, when I was with her, she would talk about my father. Like, she'd have to take pills all the time, so she was always pilled up. And from an early age, I knew what pills were and drugs were and alcohol and, like, all this stuff was, marijuana, all this stuff. I knew it, like, from, I can't even remember when I learned.
Can't remember not knowing?
Yeah. So mom would tell me how special I was to her and my father, but she was only doing this when she was, like, under the influence, right? But when she wasn't under the influence, it was a different story. Like, but my mother used to, like, really physically abuse me, like just beat me, you know what I mean? Because she would say stuff like, "Oh, you're so much like your father, you bug me. You're so
Mm.
ugly like him." They just put me right down, you know, as a kid, I didn't understand. Like,
Where this anger was coming from.
no, I didn't even know, like, cause it's all I knew from like I didn't remember the years prior, but this is
Mm-hmm.
all I knew was the abuse,
Mm-hmm.
and I can remember when she was like, when she was pilled up, I was happy. Like, that's what I called it. Mom, are you pilled up now? And I was safe around her.
Oh.
You know, so I knew at like 5 and 6 to like to watch out for
Mm-hmm.
those things. And when she wasn't like that, when she was swearing around and banging stuff around, I was like, I was hiding. Like, I was getting drunk when I was like 3 years old. Like, my uncles were kind of like peer pressured into it, and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed being around the people I was getting drunk with. You know, my cousins, my friends, and it just made me feel like this is all I wanted. I got acceptance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got love, you know. I got all the things I never ever had.
Was culture in your life at all?
When I was born, my mom, she was so afraid of my father, like just so afraid of him when he was drunk. And she was just like, what, 19, 20 years old, and she called the ambulance to go to the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
like just to get away from my dad, not expecting to go into labor that night.
Mm.
So she goes into labor that night. And if she hadn't called the ambulance, she wouldn't have made it to the hospital, because like when she got there, it just started snowing, like snowing, and like record, like you could look it up on online, and you'll see November 30th, 1980, record snowfall in Calgary, 5 feet of snow all over the city.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that happened, and then my great grandmother, she traveled through from the reserve from Key to Calgary through all the snow. I guess they had to travel through a blizzard too. And she got to the hospital, and she tells my mother, he's got an Indian name. His name is Storm Coming.
Mm.
So, you know, so it was kind of ironic, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom would always tell this story, when she was drunk or when she was pilled up. She would
Mm-hmm.
always tell the story, like, Nolan's different, Nolan's special. And she would talk like that.
So is this the only time that you ever heard stories? Was when she was pilled up? And
Yeah.
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 Why do you suppose that is?
Insecurities.
Mm.
Insecurity. She had a worse childhood than she gave me.
Mm.
Like, by far worse. She would tell me stories like, you know, when my mom was and my stepdad would go drinking, she would leave her and her siblings, my mother and her siblings, all alone at a house out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm.
Like, you know, just with nothing. She said, I don't even know how we survived. I don't even know how we had food. I don't know what we were doing to get by. She said, because it would be like 2 weeks, and my mom's like 8 years old, caring for all her little siblings. Like,
Oh wow.
and my cuckoo Gracie, she had like a staircase of children, right from mom on down. She was the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
So mom she had a rough childhood. Like, she was sexually abused right through. You
Mm-hmm.
know, she doesn't remember who, but she would tell me these things. You know, when she was under the influence, and she could tell me these things. You know, but
Yeah,
when she
yeah.
wasn't under the influence, she could not talk about anything to me.
Yeah, you know that really echoes part of Nova's interview too. She was talking about how that her cookum could only engage in culture, only share teachings and stuff when she was drunk.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that's the continuing to come up.
And when she did lose her cool, like, yeah, everyone knew, but they just never said nothing. Nobody cared. It was like, I couldn't imagine like
Maybe
watching.
maybe they didn't know how to care.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe, because I remember at times some people would even laugh
Mm.
while she was beating me up. You know, like this, they found it funny, and I was like, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you more. Like, I lived with my father off and on, and my father taught me a lot of ethics, a lot of good work ethics. He
Mm-hmm.
taught me a lot of good things, like all the good stuff that I learned in life. Most of the good stuff I learned in life came from my dad
Mm.
and his family. Like, my grandmother
Mm-hmm.
was my mother.
Mm.
She was like the one woman who cared for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cared for me. I never seen her drunk. I never seen her mad. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she was always really accepting of me, no matter what state I was in. You know, and I was like my dad's like favorite child. Like, you know, and he had like 17.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Wow.
So he gave me like special attention and gave me attention that he never gave any of his other kids. We played ball, and my uncles would take us around, and and we'd do all these things, like we go like tournaments and Indigenous games and stuff like that. And I have cousins who are not longer with me, but we really built some really great. We bonded, in a way that we couldn't if we didn't have alcohol. And we'll always remember those memories. Like, for some reason, it was like, this is how we built our memories, because probably maybe it was I think it was a rite to passage. I think, like, we thought it was like, this is what we're supposed to do. That's what I thought. I seen my dads do it. I seen our dads do it, and like, now it's our turn, like that. So
nothing about that felt wrong.
No.
You weren't sneaking around or anything.
Oh, to begin with, I was. Like, to begin with, it was like I would sneak around, but
yeah,
after a while, it didn't matter.
What did Nova call it? The Gimooch.
Oh, on the Kimooch, yeah.
The Kimooch, yeah.
yeah. That's when you're running around behind closed doors and stuff like that, yeah. Yeah, so that was, I just, like, I was drinking with my dad when I was 14.
Yeah.
He kind of forced it on me in a way.
I mean, it sounds like, your teenage years, there was a lot of good memories. There was a lot of good experiences. I mean, I'm sure there was some bad ones too, right? So how did you go from having that lifestyle into like running on the streets?
I was so arrogant, because I was so certain that my life was going to end up spectacular, and I carried myself with that kind of esteem, and I ran into me and my cousin. His name is Thomas, Big Sav. We ran into some guys. They were dealing, and we just eventually followed suit, and that's where we fell into the street life. We were 20, 21 years old, and it just started by selling drugs. It just started like when we were just trying to make money. We weren't trying to take over the streets or anything like that. We weren't even wanting that.
Where was this?
Regina. Yeah. We didn't even want that. Like, we didn't want no gang related life, or we didn't know it was, and then he was rapping, and he meets up with these guys, like, who are like, they grew up in the streets their whole lives, right? They were out there in Regina, their whole lives. So like, we just followed suit with them, and all of a sudden things just went one after the other. So in this time, all I did was sell coke and drink tequila. Like, I had this money, I had access.
Was it glamorous?
Yeah, it was.
Did you feel powerful?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and that's where it led to. Like, it led to, like, I had people respecting me in a way I've never had respect before. And it really went to my head, and I really felt like, because like oh man, like our little crew of guys they're selling drugs. We were pretty powerful in Regina. Like, we gripped every part of it we could, and we owned it, and it was like, it was so it was kind of like, how would I say, it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. I built an ego. We all did. We changed from who we were, like, humble beginnings. All of a sudden we're like Scarface or something, you know what I mean? Like, we felt this way, and the city's ours, and nobody can take, no, we own everything, and it's just how we acted, and we behaved that way.
Were you jumped in?
No, I never was. No. There was times when guys would attempt. I'd be like, well, I'm fighting back.
I'm getting minutes. You're getting minutes too.
Yeah. And then I'd be like, if you guys do this, you guys pile on me, I'm gonna find you each one by one, and I'm just joking, bro.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't wanna. And it's like, I'm never picking up that flag. I don't care what you guys do to me. I said,
yeah.
You guys can beat the shit out of me all you want. I'm never picking up that flag. Don't worry about it.
Was that a good decision?
Yeah, always feel proud about that. I'm always happy I never ever did pick up a flag and
Yeah.
and it just would have took me another place,
Yeah.
So we were like, and then I'm just doing all this partying, all this drinking, and I was addicted to like Tylenol ones and Tylenol threes since I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was addicted to that, and that's an opiate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was addicted to that, and that's doing damage to my liver and kidneys the whole time, and then I'm drinking now in my 20s like never before, and cocaine's right there like all day every day.
Mm-hmm.
One day I'm like, oh man, I want out. I just want a different life. I just want to be where I was before this came into my life. I really just want to work, and I really just want to build a home for myself
Mm-hmm.
and do what's right. So I go to Edmonton, and like on my way to Edmonton, like man, I drove to Edmonton drunk. I done it many times before, but this time was different. And it starts blizzarding because it's like early November, and I'm hammered. So I try past the semi. I pass the semi, and I'm going like this. I'm passing them. It's like, and it's around a curve like this too, and it's blizzarding. And all of a sudden, this woman talks to me. Like I seen a woman, like a blonde haired woman, talk to me, and I looked. And when I looked, I went like this, and the front of the car hit the second last set of tires on the semi, and the bumper hit the last set of, the trunk hit the last set of tires on the semi. So I went spinning on the double lane in between Maidstone and Lloyd. I went spinning, ended up in the ditch. So I ended up in the ditch there, and I thought I killed somebody. I swear I thought I killed somebody. I thought that woman was dead, and there was no woman.
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait a minute, where did this blonde woman come from?
That's what I asked her. Is like, where did you come from? Did I pick up a hitchhiker? And I was like, and then I look again, and she was in the rear view, and I'm spinning while she's laughing.
Wow.
Oh man, it was like I always remember it because it sobered me right up.
Huh. Gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, it still makes me like, oh man, like what? How did that ever happen? Like, how did I not hit another vehicle? Because there was cars all the way around.
Yeah.
And like that semi, how did I not die that day? So
Yeah.
anyways, I was like trying to drive my car out of the ditch, it was so trashed, man. I jumped out and I was looking at it and I was like, oh my car, I just bought it today.
Blondie, get out, help me push.
So the cops come and they're like, what happened? I was like,
you're not gonna believe this.
yeah, and I tried telling them, I was like, is there a woman there? Is there a woman around here?
Yeah.
Is there? And they're like, no, you're alone. And I was like, okay. So they arrest me for all this stuff, and I thought, okay, well, I'm probably going to jail, and I'm wanted for aggravated assault in Alberta in Edmonton. I got released the next morning. I got released the next morning with a DUI, my first DUI. Ended up taking the bus, and anyways, I owed like 20 some thousand to SGI, and my cousin, he bailed me out $2,000 that day. I didn't even pay him back for years, and I told him, hey, I'll get you back. I had the money to, and I didn't do it. I was just such a piece of SHIT. I could have did more for the guy because he's always been there for me. Like he's been more than enough for me so many times. He's carried me through the darkest times when no one else was there. He was there, and I owe him more than I could ever, I could ever repay. Okay, I get to Edmonton, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna quit selling drugs. I didn't do that. I started up. I didn't even sell my drugs. I did them. And I was still taking the Tylenol ones and drinking like crazy. I woke up one morning and I couldn't quit puking. Like I just couldn't stop. And I was like, oh man, I'm so hungover. I just can't stop puking. I need some gravel. Can you give me some gravel? I told my sister, and she's like, yeah, I'll get you some. So she grabbed me some gravel, and I was okay for a bit, for about, not long, about an hour or two. And then it just started again. Just couldn't quit puking. So I took some more T3s, and I was like, oh, okay, I feel all right. And no. I was like, man, I do take me to the hospital. I must need an intravenous of like fluids, to get past this. So she takes me there, and I'm there for a while. And and they sedate me, and they're like, "There's something wrong with you." I'm like, "What do you mean?" "Well, you're just gonna have to stay here." And I'm like, "Well, I want to go home."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "If you want to live, you're gonna have to stay here." So I stay there, and all of a sudden they're all rushing around. There's a doctor and there's the nurses, and they're all just panicking. It seems, and they're like, "We got to do this. We got to do this now." And they gave me this long ass needle from like into my heart. I went out after that, and I was out for like 3 weeks in an induced coma because my liver and kidneys failed
Wow.
from all the drugs and alcohol over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all I did. I didn't really eat too much. I was really skinny. I was like maybe like 150, 160 pounds at the most.
Mm-hmm. So what was it like waking up from that?
They took me and they did a CT scan with me, and I remember seeing my mom and the doctor, and then the nurse was a Filipino guy, and I was like, "Mom, this Filipino guy put me in a space shuttle, and I went to the moon. I just got back." I was telling her this, and my mom was like, "Yeah, you went to the moon." And in my mind, like I remember like climbing inside the space shuttle,
Yeah,
but it
like,
was
you
just
still remember this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was climbing. I was like, "Where are we going?" And he's like telling me, "You're going to the moon." I was like, "Okay." So I'm like, "Well, what am I gonna eat? I'm hungry." And then he gave me a Happy Meal. Like in my mind, a Happy Meal. I don't know if he even did. And,
Yeah.
that was my only memory. That was my only memory. And then I kept coming in and out of my coma. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the drugs would wear off and they'd let me wake up once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they said, "Nolan, I was saying, well, I remember when Cuckoo was there, my grandmother. I remember when she was there." And they're like, "No, no, there's no way. You were right out. That was like in the deepest part of the coma." I was like, "No, I remember she was there." And she was sitting there crying, and I was telling her like, "Cuckoo, don't worry, I'm gonna be okay. I'm not gonna die. There's not. I'm gonna get through this." Like I just really really believed with every part of me that I was gonna get through it. I really really believed, And everybody else was like writing me off, And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how severe it was. Otherwise, I probably would have felt the same.
Well, and what was it like when you did wake up, and like, did you have that realization that
No,
so even after you woke up and people were like, you just about died, we had to put you in a coma, all these bad things, you go to the moon, the Happy Meal, all these things that didn't phase you.
no.
So what did you do when you got out of the hospital?
My sister, Melanie, my older sister, she's been like a mother to me too. When I was with mom, Melanie was there to care for me, like and watch over me. But she called me to go to Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt fine. I was like, and I asked the doctor when I left the hospital. I was like, can I still party? That's all I cared about, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's my only concern. And he goes, "Yeah, you should be able to have a beer. Just remember what landed you here." I was like, "Yeah." And
Mm-hmm.
so I stay away from the codeine pills now, and I just go on, and now I get to Vancouver, and my sister's in her own world of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
She's smoking crack at this time, and I guess she'd been doing it for years, and I never known. I don't. I like we. She was in Vancouver. I was in Saskatchewan,
Mm-hmm.
Alberta,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, she just basically we just drank and did crack, like for a week, and I was like, I was really glad to be able to sit with my sister, but at the same time, I really just wanted. I would remember at times like, man, I just wanted something better for myself. I really did. At times, I'd remember.
Mm-hmm.
So I told my sisters like, I gotta go home. I really, really gotta go home. I don't think, and I told her I was like, I don't think I got much time. I don't think I got too much time, Mel. I said if I keep this up,
Mm-hmm.
I already got a warning once, and I gotta get back to like the traditional ways, like and that's what I wanted. I was coming back to the reserve for. So I get back to the reserve, I'm
Which
like,
reserve?
Aki.
Okay.
So like I was there for maybe like 6 months or 7 months or something, maybe eight. but when I get there, like, I'm really trying to find myself in this way, in this traditional life. And everywhere I went, I went and knocked on some doors, and I was like, what do I got to do? Tell me what I got to do to get some help, because like I'm telling people what I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of sound like a lot of them laughed at me. A lot of them laughed at me and told me, you can't, you're not serious. You know what I mean? Like, they just kind of made fun of me, and I felt so belittled. I was like, whatever then, you know what I mean? I guess it's drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So start drinking around the reserve and stuff. The the one day I was so hungover, I was just walking, and my uncle, he pulls up beside me, and he goes, he's like, you better come with me, or else you might see that place you see when you're in your coma. Cause I seen like a place that scared me, like just scared me. I go to church with him in Kizakus. Kizakus has a church there, and I go there. We go to that service, and I didn't expect anything to come of it. I just wanted to see if it would work. Maybe it would. I doubted it. I doubted it with all my existence.
Mm-hmm.
It was what I was looking for. I couldn't find it anywhere else. Such a peaceful, loving acceptance. No matter what. No matter what I'd done before. That's all forgotten now.
Mm-hmm.
You're a new man. You're different. You're special. You're loved.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll always be like a prince to me. Like, this is how, like, there's just nothing like it when you accept Jesus Christ into your heart. Like, that's how I felt. Like, right from this guy who was like dancing in the devil's,
Playground.
yeah, for most of my life, like my entire life, and wondering what it was that I needed, because a lot of my years, like when I wasn't drinking and doing drugs, I was like super depressed,
Mm-hmm.
like major depressed. And I would tell my friends, like, why am I depressed? I got everything I need. I got everything I want. Like, I have all this stuff around me, and I was like, this is what I'm thriving for, and it's not working. It's not working. None of this stuff works. And I'm like, and like, I was too afraid to commit suicide because I hear like these awful stories, like you commit suicide, that's where you stay for all eternity or something like that. And I'm like, I won't take that chance. It's not worth it. But well, yeah, when I accepted Christ, I became a different person. I just left all the drugs and the drinking alone, and I ended up preaching the word of God and just telling people how beautiful it was to accept Christ, and I a lot of people, like, they don't want to hear that, you know what I mean, because like they don't know the experience, right? And then when people do have the experience, they're like, hey, you know what, thank you for telling me that time. I'm like, yeah, I told you. I told you, it doesn't fail anybody else. I'll tell you that 100% it will change someone's life. 100% of people that accept it all changed.
So let's take a quick break here, and we'll hear about today's sponsors, and then we'll get back into it.
All right.
Since 2008, 1,500 workers have stood up for themselves and won their union with SEIU West. Workers came together and won better conditions for health and safety, better pay, respect on the job. It's your turn to win. Canada deserves better. Workers deserve better. You deserve better. Visit seiuwest.ca, link in the show notes, and click on contact so we can help you and your coworkers win your union. All right, EHN Canada is Canada's leading provider of mental health and addiction services, providing evidence-based, medically assisted care with 1-year wraparound services for those suffering from substance use disorder. In Saskatchewan, their care is 100% supported by Saskatchewan Health. To learn more, find their link in the show notes below. Wellness News, Choice for Healthy Living, is a local resource that works to connect people to health and wellness-related products, services, and expert advice from industry professionals, locally allowing us to connect and engage. Check out wellnessnews.ca or skwellnesshub.ca today to learn more. If you'd like to see our content uncensored, we are now offering channel memberships. There is a lot of things we can't show you without getting restricted, so if you want the full conversation, or to check out our merch, or if you want to show us some love and buy us a coffee, all of those links are in the show notes below. This is when you entered recovery?
Partly, yeah. Like, and things got even worse at one point after.
What I'm interested in is, like, Like, what was it? I mean, it sounds to me like it was the fact that you felt accepted, the fact that you found what you've been looking for your whole life. I mean, early on in your teenage years, you were talking about how you found that fellowship, how you found community in drinking and in drugs and all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds to me like this is the actual thing that you found. Like, can you unpack that any further? Like, what was it?
It was it was a spiritual connection with Jesus Christ. Like there's nothing like it. Like it's so hard to explain. It's an experience. It's not something you can really explain with words. It's something that you have to fully experience in order to understand. You know what I mean? Like all that hateful, all that jealousy, all that corrupt thinking, gone. Like, and if it's not gone right away, it falls away slowly because you start to read the Word of God and it starts to teach you and direct you which way to live your life. You know, and then you become someone brand new, someone different.
So you said you fell back in once after this
Yeah.
experience. What happened?
I met a girl.
It's always the girl.
we got married and we had a little boy, and she died. A drunk driver killed her.
Oh no.
You know, I was thinking, man, my son's gonna grow up without a mother, you know, and I know what it's like to grow up without a mother, and that hurts, you know. So I really felt broken about that. I was crying. I was like, I can't believe this. And before she had died, she just told me, you know, she basically got me and my mom reconnected. You know, my mom was like, I wasn't talking to her. I wasn't gonna. I wasn't ever gonna. My first wife, she told me that, you know, you gotta learn to deal with this, and you know, your mother's still your mother, and she really wants to help you and really wants to be a part of your life. And I said one day, I was like, you know what? Okay. I said, let's give it a shot. Everything's going well. Everything did go well. It was like, okay, you did some growing up, and then my wife dies, right? So now it's just me and my mom, and my mom was like trying to get my sister to come see me, my only full-blooded sibling, you know, and she just, oh man, she's not a very good person. And my sister was like, no, I don't care if his wife died. I don't care. I'm just not having anything to do with him. And my mom cried. I seen my mom is a different person now. You know, she's crying. She's really feeling like, you know, like she should have did more and all this. And a day later, my sister's partner dies. Like he dies, and now she's calling me crying. And it was just tragic because I love my nephews, and their dad is not here with them no more. And it was just a lot of loss, you know, just with those two alone gone. So now my mom's like, I gotta go back to Vancouver. I'll help you with your son. And she just wanted to help me with my son, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, mom. So I just stayed and I drank. I lived in the house where me and Olive lived in, and I just drank in there. All of a sudden, my mother's dead. You know, and I just got like rekindled with it. You know, it was so sad. It was so heartbreaking because, you know, I really believed, you know, like we could have had a great relationship, you know, and it was awful, you know. It broke my heart. I had a half sister, like my dad had many kids, right? Half sister, like I didn't know her, but she died like 2 days after my mother, and nobody had time for me. Nobody, you know. The only people that had time for me were the people that, like, you know, that I was running around in the streets with. Those were the only people, and they were there, you know. They were 100% there for me.
So you're back running on the streets.
Yeah.
Back to Regina.
Yeah, I was in Regina when this happened. I blamed the lifestyle on what had happened. But I hung around with the bros because they just wanted me around, you know. I always made them laugh because when I was drinking, I was able to forget, you know, and I was able to just laugh around, and we had a lot of fun, and we, you know, it was good.
Do you think maybe drinking saved your life at any point in time?
Well, it saved me from suicide, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and there was many times, like, if I wasn't drunk, I know I would have probably killed myself, like, without a doubt, because I just couldn't quit crying when I was sober.
And was there a lot of violence in your life?
Yep.
Around this time too?
All my life.
Yeah.
All my life.
Yeah.
Like, there's stitches all over me. like just like all over me.
Just from the lifestyle.
Yeah, from head to toe. Like I got this and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of stuff from when I was drunk and fighting around, and it's awful.
Yeah, yeah. So what brought you out then?
This drinking began when I was 31 years old, so all of my 30s I was drunk. My whole 30s. Up until I was like 38, 39, I really started trying at that point. Like I've been to treatment twice. I went to treatment the first time, and I met a girl in there, right? And her and I, you know, were living together, and I thought maybe she could change and she could really, really put her sobriety seriously. And I ran for council, and when you run for council on the reserve, like I was 10 months sober at this point, and I ran for council, and when I ran for council, she just couldn't handle that part. Like she just like the thing she would tell me over the phone was like, you're just gonna forget about me when you get in. You know, it's all gonna go to your head, and you're just gonna leave me and stuff like that, you know. And and then and during this time I didn't know she was using drugs and doing all kinds of other stuff, you know what I mean? Like it was just like, so anyways, it was like that, and I was on the road with this guy, and he's the chief of our reserve now, but I was on the road with him, and for
Campaigning?
for 3 months we went back and forth from Vancouver to Brandon, Winnipeg, Vancouver. Yeah, just back and forth for 3 months. Like we got a big head start on everybody, and we went for it. And like when she passed away, her family blamed me for it.
She passed away.
Yeah, she overdosed when she was running around with her drugs and all that.
And you were out campaigning?
Yeah.
Did you carry that?
I did, yeah, I did. I took it really hard because they blamed me, and I believed it. And I was like, man, I can't. Like there was a lot of people blaming me for the other people's deaths, like because people were just dying so much. You know what I mean? And anyways, I accepted it as like, yeah, it's my fault. You know, I could have probably did more. You know, I listened to their reason, and I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. You know, so I started drinking really hard again, and at this time I took a really hard fall, like a really, really didn't care fall. You know, a really, really back to that point where I was, but actually this time it was worse. Whatever I was thinking, I was drinking. I started drinking can sanitizer. Like just anything, you know what I mean? Like anything to get past this moment.
You broke?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just in the trenches thinking about it all the time, and then I had like all these traumatic feelings from when these people passed away prior is all coming back, and it all felt the same. And I ended up finding my way back into the treatment center. Right? And that was a heck of a moment, because I went to the same treatment center that I left with this girl with. You know, so they thought I was there trying to find a girlfriend again. And I was like, no, it's not. I didn't even come here for that the first time. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't my thing. But they really watched me. You know, it was difficult because they were like, there was two people on me at all time. You know what I mean? And there was this guy, one of my bros. He found a girlfriend there. You know what I mean? And they're having sex in her room, but because they're so occupied with me, they don't even notice anybody else. You know what I mean? And it was like
charging your bros a tax to keep the heat off, man. Come on, let's go.
No kidding. It was funny though, because I just couldn't get over it. I was like, wow, you guys, and I'd even say to them, are you guys really babysitting me this harsh? I just wanted my health. I wanted what I wanted. I knew I could get where I am today. And that's what I wanted. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So what did it look like on the other side of treatment this time?
I only had one slip, and I think I drank for probably a week. That one time, yeah. About 2 years ago now. Yeah, and then I met my wife, my current wife, and her and I got married, and you know, she met the Lord Jesus, and she just she just never turned back. She felt what I felt when I told you about what the feeling is, right?
Well, talk to me a bit about finding Jesus again then. Because, I mean, it sounds like you stepped away or, you know, maybe he didn't step away from you. I'm not sure what you believe, but like, what was it like coming back into that light again?
Well, it was like I always knew he was there, because there were like when you're with Jesus, he does not let you go, and he'll speak to you constantly. Like he'll constantly be on you. Like um even though there were people dying, even though I was addicted to fentanyl and I was overdosing all the time, you know what I mean? Like, and there was all this death around me. He spared my life. You know what I mean? And he would like, okay, there would be moments where, you know, I'm all like fentanyled out, and I'm like just like living on the streets, like bumming on this, literally bumming, living homeless on the streets with nowhere to go. Didn't care, you know, didn't care. I just didn't care. I wasn't. I wanted the drugs. I didn't want to face reality. Okay, I was in the mall in Edmonton, and I was wondering, man, how am I gonna get my next fix? And this old lady comes up to me and she goes, Jesus wants me to tell you that he loves you. He loves you, and everything's gonna work out. And I just looked at her and I was like, and I started crying because I needed to hear that, eh? I really needed to hear that at this point. Because so like I tell you, when people turn on me, man, it's not just one, it's the whole pack, man. It's like the whole pack of them want to turn on me at the same time. And like a lot of my family members, they're good to me, you know, but they want to keep me at a distance because they've only known me to be trouble, you know. But the spirit of God in me is like, you gotta love him. You gotta love him. You gotta understand, Nolan. You were a hard character to be around, you know. And I remember, yeah, I was, you know, very opinionated, very self-centered, you know, always talking, couldn't shut up, couldn't be told to shut up, you know what I mean? I'll fight you right now, you know. It wasn't good.
Lots of fights,
Yeah.
family and stuff.
Well, yeah, like that's what I was taught, like from both parents and all my uncles and brothers, you know, like
That's how you solve problems.
yeah, and you can never say no to one, you know. That's what I was taught. You can never say no to one, you know. So, I mean, it's heartbreaking as it is. I mean, those are the codes that we live by, you know, and it's sad. It's sad to me now. Like I finally realized that it's no place I want to be. I don't want to fight no more. And at the same time, there's a part of me like I'm not afraid to. You know, I'll still do it. You know what I mean? But there's a side of me that God is trained to be like, no, that's not you no more.
Yeah.
You're beyond that now.
So you still hear the old voice, but it doesn't control you anymore. Is that
Yeah,
what you're
like
saying?
the temper's not there. I don't like anymore.
Yeah.
You know, jump all
Too
over.
much work.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just too much of the effort is just ugh.
For what pay? Like
For what?
You know, like for what?
You just get more hate,
And more scars.
more scars, more hate. You know what I mean? And like it's the emotional scars that hurt the most, because like, you know, you fight someone, it's just never the same with them. It's never the same. And like if you don't fight them, there's always a chance that you could be the same with them. You know, there's always that opportunity. So, I just learned so much from that, you know. I just want to come away from it, you know. I don't hate nobody. I don't even hate. I definitely don't hate myself anymore. And that was the issue. Like with all the violence in my life, I was hating myself.
Yeah.
I was so mad at who I was. You know, I couldn't stand another Native man, probably because projection. You know, so
Do you remember that moment where you made the realization like I don't want to hate myself anymore? Like when did you realize that was the problem?
one of my friends, I love him with all my heart. He come and he socked me a good one in the face, and I was like, "What are you doing this to me for? I don't you know I love you?" And I was telling him, "I love you, man. Like I just don't have the time to want to fight you. Like what you said, there's effort there. Like I was too lazy to get into it. Like really, I was. It was. I was just like, man, is this not this again? You know what I mean? And why am I doing this? And I just cried to him. I told him I loved him, and he cried to me back, and it was over. And I was like, man, this is far better. I was just like, you know, I don't want to do this fighting stuff no more. I'm just through with it.
So what's life look like today?
Well, today, I'm just staying home. I just stay at home. I stick to myself. I go to church. I read my Bible. I pray when I can.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still a lot of things that are bad in our community that are gonna need to hear stories like this in order to come out of the darkness, because our people are just so lost that they don't even have an identity. The identity was taken from the residential school.
Mm-hmm.
Once you find out who you want to be and what you want to do, there's a much there's hope. For me, it was finding Jesus.
Do you think it has to be like that for everyone? Think there's other ways?
Oh man, that's a good question, because I've seen guys recover with other stuff, but I can say they don't feel what I feel
Mm.
yet.
Mhm.
Because like, if you could take someone who was so torn like me, who was so torn there was no hope. A fentanyl addict, crystal meth addict, every kind of everything was under the sun addict after my 30s. If you could take someone like that and teach them to love again, I don't believe there's anything like it.
Hmm.
And we don't preach this stuff to anybody. We're like, hey, you need Jesus. We don't tell people that. Like,
Yeah.
if there's an option, try it out. You know what I mean? If nothing else is working for you, try it out.
So where can people find you?
On Facebook
Hmm.
at Nolan Keshane.
Okay, I'll throw a link in the show notes. Well, thanks for making the trip today. Thanks for sharing your story with the community. I'm sure it's going to reach some people who need to hear it. I'm humbled to walk with you through it today, man. And I suppose that's it. Take good care, my friend.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Hold up. If this conversation gave you something to think about or something to talk about, help us keep it going. Give us a like, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Drop a comment. We read them all. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen, leave us a rating and a review. It helps more people find the show. Before you go, check out another episode. It boosts the algorithm and helps us reach more people who need to hear these stories. That's it for now. We'll be back soon with another dose of lived experience on Hard Knocks Talks.
Hey, this is Hard Knocks Talks.